All right, so second game of the finals of the Mind Game Majors tournament. Tobias with 5-color Scapeshift versus Niels with Grixis Tempo. Tobias is on the play this time. And yeah, last game we've seen the power of Seasoned Pyromancer into Gourmet Angler, finishing the opponent pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was instantly 9 power out of nowhere, which was a sight to behold.
Yeah, this is very impressive.
So you may be thinking of including him now in your own Grixis list?
Definitely. I hope I will be able to cast it constantly.
Okay. The players are up to their starting hands. Now Tobias on the play, which can be very, very nice in this matchup because a lot of Niels counterspells still cost 2 mana.
Yes.
And getting early ramp out is very nice.
Yeah. Tobias' hand is not too fast, but I think it has a good mix of spells, especially Thoughtseize on turn 1 is very powerful. And having Curse of Crufix that can stabilize on the board, gain you some life, and Leovold especially is, Leovold is just insane. Especially against the Dark Faden, which you see on Niels' hand,
Yes,
just completely shuts down this card. Also, the Seasoned Pyromancer is not very good against Leovold.
Leovold is an amazing card most of the time, but especially against tempo decks, which have a lot of draw 1 card effects written on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, Brainstorm is not a very good card if the opponent can play a Narset, part of Wales, or Leovold.
Yeah, that's true.
So he goes, I guess, for the single black and Thoughtseize, turn 1. Prismatic Vista,
like it.
Another very strong card from Modern Horizons, and nearly all include in most decks, except for 4-color Blood maybe, and some, decks like Tolarian Academy, but a very strong card for our format.
Yeah, I think it's basically an auto include in most lists.
Especially also very, very corner case, but for decks like Mono Blue, if you play the island, it's another fetch you can play finally in monocolored decks like Mono White and Mono Red and Blue, which sometimes really love those fetches.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what do you take here?
That's interesting question. And yes, I would actually go probably for as interest. It's I think actually the Giant, because Niels does not have double red. The rest does not hit anything. The Gourmet Angler is slow, and Dark Faden is probably not a card if Tobias decides to play Leovold turn 3.
Yeah, I agree. Since Tobias is on the play, Leovold will most likely hit the board before Dark Faden does. And yeah, the rest is a non-issue. Doesn't hit anything. Okay, Seasoned Pyromancer. I think that's a valid choice.
Yeah, it's a very good choice. And maybe we even see the second ability sometime in this game of instant speed exiling itself from the graveyard and getting 2 tokens again, which is a very, very strong ability to have.
Yes, especially in something like Grixis or other tempo decks that really don't want to flood out. It's good to have something like another mana sink to at least get something out of your lands, because in most cases you don't want to have 5 or more lands. And here you see that the mana base of the Grixis deck is sketchy.
Yes.
We have the tropical island, which is there for Deathrite Shaman only. And having 2 islands and now needing to fetch for Badlands is not optimal.
Yes. This is sometimes which you see, especially in the 3-color tempo decks, which are Grixis and Teemo most of the time, that the inclusion for the Deathrite Shaman means an Underground Sea or Tropical in both those lists. also
Yes.
in one direction, which I think is a very fine include because you play cards like Tainted Pact and it makes your fetches better. But of course, in your starting hand, having the off-color non-basic can be sometimes painful.
Yes, definitely.
So
And
he
here,
duresses.
Duress doesn't get to pick anything.
This is one of the hard things about duress. It's we call it the holy trinity of duress, Forces, Inquisition. I mean, in a case like this where Tobias does not take the duress, is also a very hard spot for Niels to play because Niels know he will not find a good card, or in this case, nothing at all is even more luck, tough luck.
Yes.
It can be hard to play, but in case of Grixis, you can feed your graveyard also and get at least the information.
Yeah, I think the information part is very important, actually, which is also a reason why people play something like Peak. Niels also does it, and especially in Highlander, when you can play every card only once, and the opponent could have anything. It's very, very important to know what the opponent does, so you can sequence your plays, your cards correctly.
Yes, I also think Peak is a very fine card, especially in tournaments where you sometimes face an unknown meta, especially if you're someone who travels around to go to some Highlander tournaments. Exactly. It is a very good inclusion in the tempo lists to say, okay, I do not actually know what most people play here. And drawing a card is good.
Yeah, exactly.
So he goes for the Leovold.
Leovold, yeah.
And Niels decides, of course, to use the Bonecrusher Giant, which has good stats. Yes, in response.
Yes.
Which has good stats for brawling with Leovold, at least trading and dealing 2 damage thanks to the shock.
Yeah, I think this is a good play because he knows about the course of Crewfix in hand. He knows the Bonecrusher Giant will not kill anything soon. Dark Faden is not a good play on turn 3, so why not just take the 2 damage and plan to play the Bonecrusher most likely.
And Niels had the luck to find a land, but it was one of his 2 basic islands, so he cannot play Terminate.
Yes, but he can. Yeah, right. This is what he does. He plays the Deathweight Shaman. This can fix your mana, can enable the Terminate to get rid of Leovold, and this will free up Dark Faden.
Yes, this is, I think, a very good play because the other only reasonable play he would have had is the Giant, but it's just not trading with Leovold.
Yeah,
in the beginning. So I think making yourself the Black Source available for next turn is a very wise choice.
I agree. So Tobias drew Cultivate.
And he goes for the Cursor.
Yeah, I think that's fine. He still has two lands in hand. Not anything else that profits from many lands in play yet. So there's no need to go for the Cultivate now.
Yes, and gaining the life is very nice against the Tempo deck because Tempo decks try to reduce your life as fast as possible sometimes.
That's right.
And
he's basically the defender or the control deck in this matchup.
Yeah. So Tobias gained 1 life of the Cursor, has very good blockers, which is always nice to have against Tempo decks.
Yeah, this basically assures you can play a long game against the Grixis opponent, which is exactly what you want to do.
And he has the freedom to even attack with Leovold, which he decides to do.
Yeah.
because sometimes life is relevant for tempo deck. You have the sacrifice canopy lands. So like, I think, of course, you always have Fury Islet. Then you have fetches, you have Fort Seizes. So your life is not completely irrelevant.
Yeah. So Fire Ice as the draw. That means Niels can basically just do one thing this turn, I think.
Yes. And he decides to go for the Gurmag Angler.
Okay.
Very interesting. Yeah, maybe not.
I think that's...
Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's a good play. You're not in a rush to get rid of the Leovold now, and if you draw a land next turn, Deathrite Shaman can give you access to 5 mana, so you can terminate Leovold and play Dag Faden immediately after, or even the Bone Crusher Giant. And so this is a very efficient use of mana. Yeah,
this is a very efficient use of resources. Sadly, I think he had to delve away the Pyromancer that was inside, but I think just having a Gurmag Angler which can safely attack or at least trade with one of his creatures by double blocks is just amazing to have.
Yeah, right. And the Seasoned Pyromancer in the graveyard is only a nice bonus. And just to save this for 2 tokens in the late game, I think it's not worth it, delaying the Gurmag Angler.
I completely agree with you on that, because in the late game, I think against Scapeshift, you just lose. And if not, well, you still have enough to do, probably with the cards you draw until the late game.
Yeah.
A very strong play is actually just happened with the Coiling Oracle, where he knew that he will get a land. So he has a good blocker. He can deploy even the Cultivate. So at least Tobias now has enough lands to, if he draws Scapeshift or Field of the Dead, to put a lot of pressure on Niels around.
Yeah, right. So now he's in the position where he can kill Niels out of nowhere, and also is ahead on board. So pretty good, position for Tobias.
And he also had the nice added bonus of gaining some points of life from the Curse of Krufix,
right,
bringing in up to 16, which is nice to have.
So let's see what the top of Tobias' deck is.
Oh, another very nice card.
Knight of Autumn. Do you think this is a kind of a metagame choice to play the Knight of Autumn?
I like the card very much. If you're white-green and you're not somehow combo-based, I think it's a very good inclusion in nearly every deck. Especially in Tobias's deck, having it is very nice against Blood Moon, which can be quite devastating. They sometimes played the old Knight of the Reliquary, Elvish. What was it? 1 green to
the Reclamation Sage.
Reclamation Sage. Thank you. So I think it's a very good inclusion. It helps against burn. It helps against nasty enchantments, or sometimes against bigger control decks or combo. It's just a 4/3 beater.
Yeah. I also think this is a very good choice for an unknown metagame. It's very, very flexible. And as you said, against mono red, you also you every time have to be prepared to face this deck, and having more life gain is relevant. Also, Academy combo, another very, very strong deck. You can sometimes use the Knight of Autumn to take out a key artifact.
Yes.
So I also like this choice, which you now get access to by playing white.
And a very good thing for Tobias is also he can actually, if he's like Blood Moon locked or under some kind of lock, Green Sun Zenith also finds this much multi-purpose creature very easily. That is something very nice to have.
Yeah, that is true. And Blood Moon is especially devastating against Scapeshift. So it's good to have several answers against that.
So, he deploys, of course, the Knight and the Sakura Tribe Elder, having some more blockers, but he needs to do something in the case. He needs to draw some cards so he is able to actually take advantage of being able to block. Because now he only has 2 lands in hand against Niels, who has 4 very good cards in his hand.
Yeah, right. And his board advantage is not too big. Now Dark Fane will probably come down, and it will be very difficult for Tobias to remove Dark Fane against a Gurmag Angler.
Yeah, most of the time, Scapeshift decks don't have that many ways to remove Planeswalkers, because the plan against Planeswalkers is just winning the game, which I think is a very feasible plan. In case of Tobias, he has something interesting like Fractured Identity, a card which is very strong in a format like Highlander, where he can take the deck and play it for himself.
Yes. I've been hit by Fractured Identity several times, and I think I've lost almost all games when this card resolved.
It is very devastating. I play it a lot. If I play something white-blue, mid-range control, because it's a very, very strong card. And Tobias has the ability to access it very easily because many of his tutors can go to that card.
Yes. Okay, so Daze is an obvious choice to discard.
Again, showing the very strength of Dark Fate and of getting rid of this situational cards and getting relevant cards into your hand. Isis, I think, also a very nice discard.
Yeah. Because with the Deathrite Shaman, you have another mana, and now he can deploy Dark Confident, which can really run away with the game, especially with Dark Faden.
So right now, you would who is favored? You would say, board position wise.
I think Niels is favored because Dark Faden just does so much work. Now Niels will most likely tap out for Dark Confident, but after that he will not need to tap out because of the counterspell. So Dark Confident and Dark Faden can just go through his deck, look for some more removal for the course of Crewfix or Night of Autumn, and then start attacking. I think he's in a pretty safe place. Interesting.
I am more of a defensive person. I used to play control in other formats than Highlander. In Highlander, I sometimes play, and I fear from Scapeshift. I fear the card Scapeshift.
Yes.
And since he has a counterspell, I would be inclined to say, okay, I leave myself double blue up, but maybe that is far too defensive of me.
I think this would be reasonable. The problem is that the mana base is not the best at the moment for Niels. So as you see, he had to take the Blood Crypt and shock himself because he needed another black source, and Wooded Foothills is actually a bad fetch land in this case because it cannot get the Underground Sea. So I think if he had access to Underground Sea, it would be okay to keep up Counterspell. But he also could be sure that his opponent doesn't have Scapeshift at the moment. Otherwise,
he knew.
Might have been dead.
Yeah, he knows what Tobias is drawing thanks or because of the cursor, but I was not sure if he knew both hand cards, like the Steam Winds and the Plateau. So if one of those were Scapeshift, but Tobias draws a not very relevant card. Oh,
there's the Death Rite again.
Yes. And now now Niels seems very favored with the Death Rite and, of course, the Gurmagangler and the Dark Confident and the Counterspell in hand.
I think so too. And what you said, you're right. You have to be scared about Scapeshift all the time, or not all the time, but at this stage in the game. But you also have to decide. Okay, is now a good spot to tap out, and I think this is the right choice that Niels took, because it was pretty unlikely that the opponent had Scapeshift in hand, and if he draws it next turn, then that happens. But after that, you're pretty safe.
And this is the sign of a really experienced tempo player, because as we talked earlier in the earlier game, that it is sometimes hard to decide when to finally put some pressure onto the board or when to leave your permission up, because tempo does not deal so well with many permanents or very different kind of permanents. Grixis especially not having an answer for enchantments, basically, except maybe bouncing them. So it just shows that Niels is very adept at playing his own deck and making very good choices at getting him ahead of board.
Yeah, I think so too.
Of course, in this case, Tobias also, as it can happen with Scapeshift decks, has a lot of lands and needs to top deck something good, because I think he plays 83 lands, as I saw in the list. So that's quite some lands he could draw. Yeah, that's
38. Wait.
38, not 83. Sorry, we are speaking German, so sometimes it may happen that we...
especially with the numbers.
With the numbers, say things in the wrong order. So he only plays 38 lands, as Max corrected me. Is there a Highlander deck which plays 83 lands? Something very insane. Like Swans of Argol, or I do not know what kind of combo deck.
Maybe someone has come up with something similar already, but I can't imagine that this is viable.
A very interesting thing, because in the same tournament today, we saw the mono blue list from Thomas, which only played 23 islands and 1 wasteland. So there's a huge, and this is really interesting in Highlander, there's a huge range of lands you can play or even not play. The difference between 23 lands and 38 is immense in a game where you play with 100 cards. But both are viable strategies, and this is why I love the format so much.
True. And 23 lands. I mean, if you look at standard decks, for example, there are standard decks that play more lands than 23.
Yeah. Okay.
But it still works. Yeah, Braid takes care of the Deathrite Shaman.
And he eats something to deal damage. Yes. The Search for Ascanta probably being far too slow. So I guess Niels later... Oh, a Brainstorm is a very nice reveal. So I guess Niels does not have to fear the Search for Ascanta.
Yeah, I think so too. Search for Ascanta is very slow, and it might be worth countering, because at the moment he's not in the position to attack. He could lose the Gurmag Angler with it now. But okay, with Chain Lightning, he can just remove the Night of Autumn, and
he can even
start attacking.
Yeah, he can even go with the Fog Bolt in combination for nugging Tobias for 1 and shooting down the Curse of Crowfix, which is a source of card advantage and life gain.
Yeah. This might even be the better play.
He's deciding what to discard. He goes for the Chain Lightning to discard. Is that, yeah. Interesting. So he decides on probably playing the Gurmag Angler. And not Gurmag Angler, Tombstalker.
Tombstalker.
And
yeah, I think this is also a good decision, because now even if Tobias decides to double block, he will follow it up with the Tombstalker, still have counterspell up, and yeah, now there's again a lot of pressure on board.
Dark Faden being amazing with Delve spells, of course, and also the new escape spells, which are not played here, but at the time of our recording is probably something many lists will include.
Yeah, I think so too.
So he is. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. That's 10, 12, basically up to 13 power. And even just swinging straight at Tobias is a very good option.
Yes. So Search for a counter, I think you can just let it resolve, because the only thing that now kills you is Scapeshift. I don't think Tobias has got any other out, and
there's just seems nothing Tobias can do to get him out of this situation, because spells will be countered. The only thing I think which Niels cannot interact is the Maze of If. Yeah, it's the Maze of If, but that is far too slow. So
and Maze of It would only take care of
5 damage.
One creature.
So I think Tobias just has no way to get out of this situation.
Yeah. If I see it right, he only has 4 cards in his graveyard, so Search for Skunter will not even transform.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is quite a tough situation he is in. Niels is now making decision what to do with his brainstorm, so very far ahead.
Yes. And with Brainstorm, you just make sure that your Dark Confident doesn't maybe reveal something like Treasure Cruise or Dig Through Time, which can get you in trouble.
There's actually a reason, because you just saying about it, why I do not play Dark Confident as much as I used to, because you're getting hit by a lot of Delve spells. And I and my friends sometimes lose because you reveal a random Gurmag Angler. It's a very risky card if you do not have the setup, but I think in Grixis tempo, he has the best home, because you can set up your draws nicely, just as Niels did.
Yes, I think so too. And the average mana cost in this deck is very, very low. And there are spells that you don't want to reveal with Dark Confident, mostly Delve spells or Force of Will or Gush, for example. But the chances are really low. So on average, you take like 1.5 or 2 damage per turn. And sometimes you get unlucky. That happens. But I think it's worth it.
I think Grixis tempo is the best home for Dark Confident. I've seen a lot of people cutting him out of mid-range lists because their CMC is just higher than Dark Confident is able to. Yeah, you just take too much damage.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
So this is a very good swing, of course, reducing Tobias to 8 life, putting him in the hard situation of hoping that Ponder resolves and finds something useful. But since Niels is holding a counterspell, I don't think anything can happen to Niels.
Yes, I don't think so either. He can even now thought seize his opponent, see that there's a land in hand, and just counter the ponder.
I think that's a very good play to make. Just to make sure nothing bad happens. Yes, Thoughtseize resolves, sees the plateau. I think there's nothing to do for Tobias.
No, not really.
Yeah, Colligan's Command, an amazing multi-purpose card, which is a card for me which really defines Grixis. If you know, it's just the card I always wanted to draw on turn 3 sometimes. No, not sometimes, but it's just so amazing. And it's a card which is always overperforming. I always think it's just a very good card, and then I play it or I see it played against me. And he can even now discard the Ponder with Colligan's Command if he wants to be sure that, yeah, I mean, nothing can happen, but even this option is amazing.
Yes, that's right. I mean, the card is so flexible. Sometimes it feels a little clunky, but in most cases, it just does everything. Two damage is always relevant. Having the option to destroy an artifact is good against either Academy combo or even your opponents that play some equipment like Swords, Batterskull, and it gives you options that basically no other card gives you.
Yes. Yeah. Niels decides to counterspell the Ponder that nothing can happen. And yes, Tobias extends the hands.
Yeah, concedes to more burn spells. All right, this was it. Niels wins the first Mind Game Majors tournament with Grixis Tempo. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.